A really common and very effective use case for ChatGPT is rewriting or editing content. So we are going to redo a piece of content together now in the way that I typically do this. There's definitely different ways people can do this, and if you're doing it like in tiny pieces, you don't need this full workflow, but we'll do the full workflow. Now, just before we start, if you did just want to change like one paragraph, let's say, you would just come here and then tell ChatGPT to change it. So perhaps rewrite this blog, or I guess it's just a paragraph, this paragraph for an audience of people visiting Ottawa with kids. I could even have it rewrite just to change the format. I could have it rewrite to change the tone of voice. I could have it completely redo it. I could have it rewrite it from this in the style of another piece. But here you can see that it goes from this kind of generic, oh, I guess it already was about families. That's my bad. I didn't know that. But it has changed a bit. They've like mentioned kids a bit more. Now, another one we could do is forget the above, rewrite paragraph A, or 1, I guess, in the style of paragraph 2. And then we'll do paragraph 1. Is this, oh, I always forget this. Keep the facts the same. Because the problem is sometimes it'll just start like turning it into paragraph 2 or incorporating the facts of the other one, which we don't want. So I just need to grab a piece from my site that I like the writing of better. We'll just grab a oh, that's a quote. Shouldn't grab a quote. We'll just take that, whatever. It'll be very weird because it is going to be completely different text in terms of like completely different intent. But here you can see we're going to get a little bit different, and you can see the tone changes for sure. There you go. So we got a different tone now that's a little bit more like this. I don't think that was a great output, to be honest with you. I would definitely rework it. But I think typically it is better if it's in vaguely the same genre, which this was not. So we can kind of forgive it. Now, to redo a full post, like let's just say you started your blog and you just didn't know what you were doing, or like me, you ran Koala AI and had it write a full post that is just not usable. This is my problem with one-click AI writers. It's why I no longer use any of them. I think Koala is the best of them for sure. It's not great for travel. Travel just as a niche doesn't really lend itself well to it. Definitely for SEO, doesn't work very well either. I definitely want to add more personal experience and stuff. And I just found I was rewriting everything in ChatGPT or Jasper, so it was not worth my time. You also can see like really big chunks of text, things like that, just not super user-friendly. So I definitely want to redo this. So we're going to use GPT-4 for this, just that way I can do it with the web pilot reading it. But if you only have 3.5, just do this section by section. You are going to need to go piece by piece. So we're going to take our prompt from before that we have, that is our expert blog writer. So you know how to write blog posts. It has our style guide. It has our tone of voice. It has our ideal user. I'm actually just going to take out the name, but there we go. So we have our ideal user and like who they are. So I'm going to feed this to ChatGPT. When you're done, say red. And I'm just doing this because I don't want it to waste any of our word count of its memory on doing something like this. So I don't want that. I think it's because I said when you're done. When you're done reading this, ugh, I hate when it glitches like that. There we go. Reading this, say red. Oh, but it was still thinking. So this happens every once in a while. You can see it'll happen again. One way you can fix that is to refresh the page, but it'll remove your prompt. So I just come back up and then like quote unquote rewrite the prompt. I'm not doing anything, but I just changed it. And so here you can say it just says red, rather than it writing a full thing and then like we have tons of text for its memory blocking what I did. Not helpful, especially when I need it to read a full post. Great, thank you. Now please read this full blog post and rewrite it with the information above, considering the audience, tone of voice, and writing style. But keep the facts of the piece. The piece is titled, what is it titled? So this one I'm going to specifically say the title because I've named it Koala AI Test just because I was sharing it here for, there we go, to support, I did like this massive comparison of a bunch of content, or a bunch of one-click AI writers on my YouTube channel. And so I wanted to show the outputs, and I figured this was an easy way because I always mess up Google Docs. So the name of it, the title of it here isn't actually the title of it. Otherwise, you could probably get away with not doing that. Please start by rewriting the introduction. So I want to go piece by piece because the risk is if it rewrites the whole thing and gets it wrong, not only is that a ton of words, it puts us further and further from this context, also it's more editing for me to have to do. So as usual, ChatGPT learns from what you've done before and what worked. So we want to keep doing that and keep having it work. So we want to make sure we're adjusting as needed. Now, okay, it's saying original introduction. So what I would do in the next time is say, don't write the original introduction, because this is adding extra words that we don't really need. Apologies, my dog started barking at the neighbors. So here you can see the older intro. So it's longer, pretty dense, a lot of random stuff. Then we have the new one. Now, as y'all know, I am not a fan of an AI written intro anyway, so I would personally rewrite this myself, but I think it's definitely better. Now, I would skip this like, hey, they're lovely readers thing and keep going beneath that. Definitely, I could have kind of fixed some of these issues by telling it, don't include this other, like don't include the original intro. It doesn't do it all the time, but this time it has decided to. I could specify, just start with the content, do not address the readers. Okay, but we have as the snow blankets the city. Yeah, so this is like nice, very visual, but very like, I don't know, kind of frilly, I guess, content. So what I could tell it is that like I want it to be a bit different. Maybe I want to include personal experience. Now, I want to include personal experience and expertise. I didn't give it any. So this is 100% on me that I haven't told it I live in Ottawa. So like include that in here. If I don't do that, it's not going to. So we would just start working with it the same way we would work with it on a brand new post and tell it, okay, remove the, hey there, lovely readers, and just get to the content, include that I live in Ottawa, only use helpful information, not extra frilly language, include one or two of the best things to do specifically, all right, in Ottawa in winter. So basically I'm just telling it, get rid of this extra bit here, give it the personal experience, get rid of some of this like random nonsense, and then actually tell them some of the things to do. Like, what is the point? Or it's in December, pardon me. Like, what are we doing here? What's happening? I don't want to do just general, I don't know, painting a random picture. I want to paint a very specific picture of how I'm going to help. So make sure this is helpful for my users who are people visiting, or not Toronto, Ottawa in December. And some of this is my fault because definitely the outline that I have is pretty specific to my other site, which does show you as well that like site matters. But I didn't want to adjust it because I was lazy for the purposes of this example. Definitely adjust it per site. That way we know who we're talking to. Now, all of the people here that like the person that's talking to here, none of this talks about travel. So not really helpful. Okay, so we're running that. We've got I think this is a lot better. So we've got, okay, the capital city of Canada, so actual information. One of the highlights, skating on the Rideau Canal. And if you're into festive markets, the Ottawa Christmas Market at Aberdeen Plaza, that's not a real thing. It's at Lansdowne, it's the big one. Is a great place to visit, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so that's better. Definitely still needs some human edits, but can be reworked. And so this is just what I would keep doing then. And I'd say, okay, great. Now let's move on to the next paragraph or next section of the post. And if you ever get to the point where it doesn't remember, then feed it the URL again. Now, if you're using GPT 3.5, just copy and paste the next section. So here we can see it's going to redo the key takeaways. I forgot there was a key takeaway section. I think that's fine. I don't think it was very good, to be honest. And if I was going to do key takeaways, I would do them at the end. So I'll just say, cool, let's do the next section. And it's going to basically go off of headers. So we can see here, this is a header. So now it's going to go down to this. And I'm hoping it'll pick up on like the H2, H3, but it might not. Yes, it did. Okay, perfect. To be honest, I'm actually kind of liking that it has the original section there. That way I don't have to bounce back and forth. Oh, it looks like it's going to pull the whole H2 section and all its H3s. How long is that? It's not too bad. We can get that done. So it's changing the headers, which I don't think I'd want. I did edit the outline in the initial piece to make it more SEO friendly. So I would say like keep the headers the same. Good notes though. And this is the thing, every time I kind of learn something new because it behaves slightly differently every single time. Please maintain the headers from the original. There we go. And you can see it's adding in my experience again. So like living in Ottawa. Whereas before it was just like during winter, kind of generally. So I think it is nicer to have like my experience with it. However, it's not specific about climate and temperature. So then I can say, please add specifics to the climate and temperature. Please add the highs and lows on average, as well as the coldest recorded temperature in Ottawa. And you'll need to double check these, but typically they're historical, so sometimes it has read it. Talk about December precipitation and how cold it feels. When I used to walk my dog, my eyelashes would freeze even if they weren't wet. That's a true story. Ottawa is so cold, your eyelashes and hair will freeze even while dry, which is horrible. Don't live there in winter. It just sucks. Like, it's beautiful, but don't live there. Visit and then leave. Okay, so it's gonna have to pull some of these. Okay, great. So it's going for the Wikipedia for Ottawa, provides a comprehensive overview of the city's history. Okay, so it's going to try and pull some data for me. We'll have to double check it, but it could help us out. Typically, I would do this in like another window, just like another chat area, just that way it doesn't like wreck what we're doing. But what I'm going to do here is once it gives it to me, I'm going to copy it. And then when I have the specifics, I'm going to come up and just add it to that prompt. And then we're going to like backtrack. Oh, actually, it's just building it in. Never mind. We don't have to. That's a lot better, actually. So I would just delete the words "a personal anecdote," but I think it's pretty good. So now it's kind of freestyling a bit with like the prepping for it rather than going into the best time to visit. But I like a lot of these sections. I think that's pretty good. But I think the climate and temperature in December one especially, like now that it has actual information, it talks about like some of like my personal experience, things like that. It does talk about like helpful details here. So I'm gonna say remove the conclusion and write the best time to visit header from above. You can also tell it how to format these. So like on one of my sites that's more American focused, I do like a conversion between Celsius and Fahrenheit each time. So it would be like whatever it is in Fahrenheit, and then in brackets I put it in Celsius. You could do the same for currencies, although they do change. So like I don't know that I would convert a currency specifically. I would say like on average or something, or estimated for miles to kilometers, things like that. ChatGPT can be really good about like doing those basic conversions for you. There we go. So now we're getting more of these sections. So I definitely would want to like update this section now and add more information. So this is going to basically allow me to keep customizing it based on the original, and then just feeding a few little prompts. Like you can see how like little I have to write to redo it, especially if like the basis is there. So for most of us, we're going to rewrite something that probably has like either the content or the style, and then it's just missing one of the other. And then you can just adjust that with ChatGPT. So like feed it the information. If you need to like redo a section, you could say rewrite the best time to visit Ottawa in December header, and then give it like a list of facts to include, like including facts, and then give it the list of facts. And that can include your personal experience. It can include some things that you need to like mention in there. It can even just include words that you need to mention for secondary keywords or LSI keywords. And then you would just keep working with it and adjusting till it feels right. Now, like I said, for GPT 3.5, you're going to have to like copy and paste the section from the post in and then do that each time. It's not a huge, like, I don't know, I don't think it's like a massive issue. I definitely think 4 is better, and especially like it's getting even better, the fact that it suggested it pull information. Usually it just like would give me some random facts I'd still have to check. Like the fact that a web pilot is actually going to Wikipedia for me is better than it usually has been. So it seems to be updating even as I record this course, which is kind of fun and kind of annoying as someone making a course about it, looking for it to chill for 1 second. But this gives me more all in one spot, and then it means I don't have to do as much in like a million places. And I'm the kind of person that does have a million windows open, a million tabs open, so the less I can have, the better, for the sake of my poor computer. And with this, you can see like we're going to get better and better content. We'll be able to customize it, make it more personal. You will still at the end have to edit it, for sure. Like there's going to be a little bit of work you have to do. If you're not in this to do some work, either you need to hire an editor to do that, or this is not the job for you and just like you need to find a new career path. But like AI does not mean quick and easy wins to the point of like money in your pocket tomorrow. It takes time, for sure. You have to do the research, you have to have the experience and the expertise, and you have to be willing to work with it. So this is just going to help you adjust the content without needing to like write it from scratch. It's also great to just be able to like have it simplify content, have it rephrase things, especially if you're using like, for example, this post, Ottawa in December. For one of my baby sites, I'm doing like Ottawa in every month, which means sometimes the content is pretty similar. Like at a certain point, there's only so many ways you can say Ottawa's fucking freezing in winter before you just say that in the way I just said it. So the great thing is you can have it rewrite it for a different audience, for changing it a little bit. It's kind of like a programmatic SEO sort of thing where it's like just replace the month December with January or whatever. But you'll get a bit more customized by being able to like feed it a bit more information, saying rewrite it in unique language or in a different tone or whatever. And yeah, it's basically the same as the instructions you would give a freelancer via email, telling them, here's the original piece. It's pretty bad. Please update it so it's like SEO optimized. You then have to kind of teach it what SEO optimized is. So it's our tone, teach it the tone. And so it's helpful to our audience. Here's our audience. Include these few facts, please. There you go. So it's very easy to do this, and then you would just copy and paste it back into your, I usually put it into a Google Doc first so I can like do some final little edits, and then I'll put it into my WordPress, and then yeah, your post is set. So this is just a really helpful way to redo content. It's not repurposing, it's rewriting or editing. So same way, like this is kind of rewriting, it's kind of editing. You can also use it to proofread. So please proofread the above and make sure it's grammatically correct. Spell check it, use US English, and make sure it's in active voice. And this is really great if you're like me, like I used to work as a proofreader, but I find for my own content, I think because I've been in it for so long, I just don't care anymore. I'm done. So it's great to have it just go through and like adjust some of these things for me, especially like the little, like, I don't know, I do switch between US and UK English decently often because like I am Canadian, we work in UK English most of the time, but like I know from the online world to work in US sometimes, and I will always spell favorite with a U, so having it go through and like fix that for me is helpful. And so you can see like not a massive difference to what's happening here. I think it was mostly in active voice already. Active voice is basically just like everything for blogging should be active voice. I never know good examples of active or passive. Let's ask ChatGPT. Forget the above. Give us an example of active versus passive voice in a sentence. This is why I was not a good English teacher when I used to teach English abroad. There you go. So you can see the cat chased the mouse versus the mouse was chased by the cat. So it's like Thailand is beautiful versus the beauty of Thailand, I don't know, surprised me, I guess. I don't know, whatever. So it basically you want to have the subject doing the action, not having the action performed upon the subject. It's kind of like a pet peeve of writers too, where it's like his hand reached for the thing. It's like, no, he reached for the fucking thing. His hand is not a disembodied thing. That's still kind of active. It's just a weird, I don't know, personifying a limb or something. But yeah, basically we want active voice. A lot of people tend to do passive voice, or they start things with like, not only is it this, like just say it. Just say the full thing. Do not say not only. Just say what the rest of the sentence is. You can have it remove fragments. You can have it get rid of things like saying like, I wouldn't say however in like a blog post or if I'm talking to a friend. You could have it make this more conversational, like you're talking to somebody. You could have it make it more casual, more engaging. You could just try out different tones and see what works. You could, if this was an affiliate post that you were writing that wasn't really converting well, you could have it write it as more persuasive content to encourage someone to purchase. You could even ask ChatGPT to evaluate this and say, please evaluate this piece of writing above and tell me what I can improve to better appeal to my users. And you can then define your users. Maybe the thing is more about like getting them to buy whatever. Tell it what the thing they're supposed to buy is. Like tell it what the goal is, and then have it judge it for you. It's a really helpful tool to like get you better at your writing, and to get you better at prompting it too. I totally agree. I think it should be more lighthearted and casual. More specifics. Yep, I think that's great. Yep, I agree with all of this. So once it suggests all of this, then what I'm going to get it to do, so you can see like the pain point doesn't necessarily work. I'm just going to start writing the prompt while it's still going. Great. Please amend the above piece of content to make your recommended changes. And I definitely find this works best when you give it the whole piece, not just sections. But here it's getting some recommendations for how it can improve it, and then I can just have it make the improvements for me. That way I don't have to figure out how am I going to address their fear about travel blogging more so in here. I want to see what it does. So I like this, like the random attempt to fit in blogging. Pro tips for bloggers: capture the frosty ambiance for your blog. Like it's trying. It's doing a better job than I would of attempting to pigeonhole that in. So I think it's done a very decent job fitting that stuff in. Is it perfect? No, but I think it's better than it was. And I definitely agree that like the weather section for like what to wear, have a checklist. Such a good idea. So this is how you can use ChatGPT to like help work with you and to even critique you. And the great thing is ChatGPT does not give a shit about you. That sounds harsh, but it's true. So it means that it is not judging you personally. It's just trying to help. Where sometimes when you work with an editor or something, like you do end up taking it personally, you don't need to do that with ChatGPT. It's a robot. It does not really care about the outcome. So you can give it your most shit piece of content ever, and it will adjust it and help you and work with you and make it even better. So like allow it to help you and give it the opportunity to like evaluate your content this way. I find this really, really helpful. I've used it a few times to be like, okay, this thing is not converting, it's not selling. Why might it not be selling? What is the messaging issue? Here is like the product, here's the goal or whatever, or here's the, I don't know, here's like the course I made, here's the goal, here's the sales page. It's getting tons of views, but not many purchases. What might be holding people back? How can I change the messaging to help people more or like to get them to buy? Things like that are really, really good with this because it can brainstorm and think outside of the box. And it has so much knowledge from the internet. Like, yes, it's general knowledge about the things, but it's like, I don't have all of that knowledge, so it can bring different things to the table. But even here, you can see how important it is to have it understand your brand's identity and your values and your audience so that it can try and work that into the piece and make it more consistent across your whole site and make sure like your user feels like you're speaking to them. So this is basically how I do this. I do it section by section. I do think it works best that way. And then I just keep editing. Now, if a piece needs way more work, then I treat it more like a new post, and I'll start with an outline, and then I use part of the old post kind of more as like the fact section that I would add in like to the content brief for each area. So if I was like doing this from scratch and I needed to like really do it from scratch, I would take like climate and temperature in December, and then I would have taken the old piece and done like bullet point notes of like something I wanted to hold on to from it, and then all the new stuff, and then I would have just started again. With AI, starting again is not as much work as starting again if you were writing it from scratch. So I think it's totally okay to do that and not to, I don't know, don't hold yourself back because you're just like, oh, well, I already did all of this. Like, who cares? If it's not working, it's not working. Do it the right way. And with AI, you can do it so much faster. So I also do this for repurposing content to some extent in terms of like a transcript or like an email or something. I will create an outline and I will have it read that piece of content, the transcript or the newsletter, give it my outline and ask it to input that, like to create a blog post out of it. And then from that blog post, I do this whole rewriting process because it'll do a decent job, but it's going to miss some stuff. There's things that need to be edited, and I like to go through it piece by piece and then adjust it. So if it is a piece that's not published anywhere, just like GPT 3.5, you have to go through piece by piece. However, in GPT-4, because of its memory, you can feed it the whole blog post and then just like keep moving section by section. That's up to you. I usually do it that way. I don't usually like copy and paste the little sections, but I do like it to have the knowledge of like what else is going to come. Otherwise, sometimes like with this one, it'll jump down to like what to wear. Although I believe that is potentially another section of this post. I'm not actually sure. No. Is it? No, it's not. No, it's just a very bad post. So yeah. So because of that, I would just adjust it. Now, if you are using something like Koala or Surfer AI, this is where I would bring things in, and this is exactly what I do with Koala stuff, is like redo it section by section to make it actually useful. And I just realized at a certain point, like, it was just frustrating me more so than just starting from scratch here. And I don't really get blank page syndrome, I guess, the way some people do, where they're afraid of it. So for me, I love a blank page. I think it's so much like, it has so much potential, and I really love writing. So getting it done better and faster and getting to work with the AI is more my use case. I prefer that to like a one-click non-solution sort of thing. So I would rather, work with it, not have it do it all for me and then have it not do a great job. So your homework is to find a piece of content on your site that just needs some work. It doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world. Maybe it just needs some updating, and take it, put it into ChatGPT this way, and rewrite it until it feels really, really strong. Like it feels like something that you would have started and published today. That does mean working piece by piece in ChatGPT. And then it also means on your own, like afterwards in Google Doc or on your site in WordPress's backend, editing the output it gives you, just to make sure it is original, that it has like enough of you in it, and that it's really going to be the most helpful thing for your user. There are some other little things you can do, like, okay, make this more concise, just rephrase this or whatever, make it longer. I find make it longer doesn't work super well, to be honest with you. So like for like an FAQ section or something, if it's too short, you need to feed it more information, not just tell it to make it longer. And yeah, that's basically how I do all of this. So rewriting just takes a bit to get used to, because it does feel weird to like critique it so much when you're like, oh, I could just do it. Yeah, you could, but then it's not going to learn, and then the next sections are not going to have changed for the better. So like spend the time at the top of the post, and then by the end of the post, it'll be a breeze. It's so much easier, and you'll have a great post to publish.